welcome to Reddit on Reddit, the internet's auditory version of Reddit. I'm Nelson Allingham, joined by Michael Campbell.
Nelson, I hope you will allow me to get a bit political right off the bat, if you don't mind.
Oh my God.
You know what? It's not even political. It's just I'm going to get a bit sad right off the bat.
Okay.
I don't know. We're starting a podcast. A happy energy. Like we want people to listen. We want people to have a good time. But
Yep.
I want the listeners to know that we are recording this separately again in lockdown.
Yeah.
And I know people are going to say, but you were in lockdown last week as well. I just want to know it's a different lockdown.
Yeah.
The lockdown we were in last week and this lockdown, they're two separate lockdowns.
Two different lockdowns.
We had a sliver of freedom in the middle there, and we got too arrogant and we didn't record a podcast in that time, and now we're back in lockdown.
So annoying.
It was a real 1-2 punch of lockdown, wasn't it? Like,
it really was.
You're free.
Yeah.
Wait, no, stop, no, lockdown.
The funny thing was I actually stopped checking the COVID numbers.
Yeah.
Because I was like, because we got to like 0 new cases, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, we're fine from now on. I won't have to worry about it. And then literally somebody was like, I might have to go into lockdown again tonight. I'm like, what? What happened?
Yeah.
I turned away for 1 second.
Honestly, our New South Wales listeners can attest that they've been going through quite an extended lockdown. But this one, for us Melburnians, it literally happened within hours.
Yeah.
It was like, I heard there's a case. We might go into lockdown. And within like 4 hours, they're like, full lockdown, please.
Yeah. It's funny, my girlfriend and I were talking about how we've kind of experienced different lockdowns over, the course of, because this is like now our sixth,
number 6,
I think. Yeah. And so we were saying how, like at the start, so what we did in this last lockdown, they were like, okay, at 8 o'clock tonight, lockdown starts again, and we were like, let's quickly go to a restaurant for dinner because we won't be able to get out of the house or do anything. And so we were saying that our attitudes towards lockdown have changed so much. Like lockdown 1, when they started it, she said she would have been the one to make this comment, and I'm pretty sure I did make the comment that was like, look, if they're saying lockdown starts tonight, really you should lock down as soon as you can.
Yeah.
And not at that time because, there's a time for, for people to get their affairs in order is kind of why they give you that time limit. But really you shouldn't go to that point. But now we're like, nope, let's get one in. We're going to go across the road. Like we weren't going too far necessarily, but
you're right. The attitude has become from between lockdown 1 and lockdown 6. Lockdown 6, the attitude very much was, what can I quickly do now before I'm locked down? What can I get under my belt before we lock down?
Yeah. And also, what will be something fun and whimsical I can do in lockdown? I think was also kind of part of that, Like, this is going to be a bit of fun. See what activities maybe I could get up to. Now I'm like, I know I'm just going to end up watching TV all day. I've gone through the phase of fooling myself that I'll do something productive, and it's just... First lockdown, I ordered myself a 3D puzzle. It was a 3D puzzle, and you put it together, and it created a projector, and you put a strip of film, and you wind the projector, and it projects a little film. That was my 3D puzzle I made. This lockdown, I slept most of Sunday. Yeah.
So apologies starting off with a bit of a sad note, but I just wanted to let our listeners know that we are still apart, even though we yearn to be together, Nelson.
That's right. We do, always. All right, let's get into it, Cambo. This first one is in the subreddit Crazy Ideas. It was by A Fun Gal Mirror. No. A Fungal Mirror. Got it. I would really appreciate if people capitalize the start
of the words,
starting letter of the different words.
That happened with Susan Boyle. She had an album launch party, and it was Susan album launch party, but it did say a sus bum anal party. Yeah.
Oh god, so awkward. Or is that the best marketing ever? I think
Could be.
So this one says, Secret Satan. A twist on Secret Santa. You have to make the persons whose name you pick out of the hat have as miserable a Christmas as possible.
Okay.
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 I'm not sure necessarily who would agree to this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I don't think anyone, just like a standard Christmas, anyone is like, oh, my Christmas is so good already.
What if...
Everybody's kind of like, oh, I have to get with that racist uncle. And
what if you go into a Secret Santa pool with like millionaires, but there's a 1 in, I don't know, 30 chance that you'll get Secret Satan?
Oh,
so you have the chance of reward. There is the possibility that a millionaire will get you, or even a billionaire. I know Bill Gates likes to do Secret Santa, and you'll get some lavish gift. But there's like a 1 in 30 chance that your life will be ruined for a year.
That's kind of good. I like that. Yeah, a really high stakes, really high stakes Christmas. So I like that idea.
My first thought, and I would need to train up on this myself, but I am led to believe that the majority of people on the internet, their cybersecurity is probably less than it should be.
Yes.
And I'm wondering whether you get into all of their stuff. Like a real test of, like, are they using a VPN? Do they have a password protected? Like, I would say the majority of people probably don't. Slightly more savvy people, but I reckon you could get into some shit.
Yeah, getting into people's online presence is can be a real catastrophe. And you know what? Guess monkey is the password, because apparently that's real common.
Monkey?
Start with that.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Apparently monkey's a really common one.
Okay. That's good to know. So, yeah, I'm thinking like a tiny little bit of stolen identity could go a long way to ruining someone's life.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, you run into the risk, though, Cambo, don't you? If you steal somebody's identity, then you're the one that's technically experiencing the Secret Santa, the Secret Satan, you know?
But
if you do it too well and you assume their identity, then it turns against you.
I don't want to
instantly.
Assuming their identity and stealing their identity are two different things. I'm not going to live as them. I'm going to take their online identity and ruin it. I'm not going to live as them, but I will certainly sign them up to many of things that perhaps... I'm going to get them on watch lists. I'm going to go to the right bits of 4chan or 8chan or wherever I need to go. I'm going to be looking up how to make bombs. I'm going to get them on a list.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, that's so good. See how many things you can get them banned from. Like, can't be.
Get them. First of all, first step: get them banned from every social media platform. You're spreading COVID misinformation. You're doing whatever you need to do.
I wonder how hard that would be. Let's say you've got like a month to do this. Do you reckon you could get totally and permanently banned from a social media platform?
The problem, I think, with some of that is I don't think that we have enough influence for it to be noticed. We could spread, because I know that there's been a bunch of people that have been banned for COVID misinformation, obviously because it's like such a health risk. But I think that our voices are too small that we would be lost in the rabble. It's only people that have some influence that really are influencing people with this misinformation that seem to be getting hit. Yeah,
when they've got a lot of followers and whatnot.
Yeah,
so
maybe
that's
like violent imagery or something might get you banned.
Maybe, yeah. I'm wondering if maybe that's you have to roll the dice and try to make them influencer, and then tear it down as quickly as possible within that month. You know?
Yeah.
Like if it's Instagram, just like attractive pictures of the same person over and over again to pretend that you're them. You're actually pretending that you're your friend or this person that's got the Secret Satan, and they're pretending to be somebody attractive. And then it's a whole nightmare.
Here's what I'm thinking to ruin interpersonal relationships. I think what I'm doing probably with their email is I'm emailing someone from QAnon and saying, please send me all the information you have. I want to know all of the things that you're talking about. And then once you receive the information, I'm doing a mass forward of that information to all contacts.
Yeah, that's smart. That's smart. But also add a little bit at the top that says, if you don't forward this to 10 people, your love life will be... Because that'll really get some people, I think. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Yeah, I mean, I have had the experience with emailing from somebody else's account. The long-time listeners might remember when I was suspended from school at a young age because we hacked into this kid's email account. I say hacked, but what we did was much like Monkey, we typed 123456 as the password,
and it worked,
because it was a 6-character limit, and that's and back in those days, Hotmail didn't, or any probably email service didn't worry about the capital letter and symbol.
No two-factor authentication, none of that.
Yeah. So,
I think
what I've worked out is actually a good email to send. You could do this again if you'd like, is to email somebody's mother that they're on drugs and they're not coming home, because that got quite a reaction at the time.
Well, I'm thinking that it's even simpler than all the QAnon stuff that I've been suggesting. I think if you just keep forwarding everyone funny forwards.
Yeah.
Like, I know, like Far
So my
Side.
mum. So we're doing my mum.
Far Side cartoons or whatever. Everyone's blocking you.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, I've had some friends who have gone way off the rails by in their social media by posting a whole lot of conspiracy theory stuff.
Oh, really?
Like it kind of like since COVID, basically, I feel like it just opened up a part of people's brains where I think it was like a combination of depression, being locked up for so long, and then kind of looking for an out. And then you look for the out that, COVID is some sort of government conspiracy or yada, yada, whatever you kind of want to believe along those lines. And then once I think you open yourself up to that, then you don't believe anything. It's easier for your brain to be like, well, if that is, made up, then maybe all this other stuff is. So I've had people that I think that if you got into somebody's social media, you could just post a whole bunch of conspiracy theory stuff and get defriended in those situations as well.
Yeah. I do love, there's obviously the popular conspiracy theory around COVID is that the government is trying to vaccinate people to control them, right? That's a pretty popular one. And sure, I understand the basic idea of it, but the thing I find funny is that there are people in this country that believe that. They believe the government that can't even organize the vaccination rollout is somehow also equipped to control everybody. And for those maybe overseas that don't know, our vaccination rates are abysmal. They're so low. They're so low. Yeah.
Not for lack of people wanting them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So essentially, like, there's the Pfizer and the AstraZeneca, and they said if people are under 60, maybe don't get the AstraZeneca because it can cause, very rare, but it can cause blood clots in younger people. And such is the desperation that they were just like, if you want the AstraZeneca, get it. Like, it's just risky now. And that's what Stacey and I are doing. We're just going to go get that because we want to be vaccinated and there's no way. There's literally none. Like, they just didn't order it.
Yeah. We actually, Ellen and I actually went Pfizer hunting, I think is probably the term, where we actually went to a few clinics. And because we're not eligible to get Pfizer at the moment, but we had heard some places at the end of the day, if they have leftover vaccines, you can just be like, hey, instead of throwing them out, how about you give them to us? And we tried a few places, and I think we just spoke to the wrong people, because I'm sure if you're speaking to the person who's the one that's like physically throwing out the vaccines at the end of the day,
what you need to do, you need to hang out the back alley near the dump. And as they're walking out there with the crate of vaccines, like,
yeah.
Just
have a
here right now
ready if you've got one. Speed up the process for them. But also, nice swift kick up the crutch.
That'll do
That'll ruin anybody's Christmas. Okay, well, let's get into Ask Reddit.
Ask Reddit.
This Ask Reddit was by Crispy Fried Pickles. What 80s movie still holds up today?
I mean, there's many of them. So just this very weekend, because we were locked down and there's nothing to do, Stacey and I have been watching a lot of 80s movies, in fact. So we started by watching the entirety of the Lethal Weapon series.
Yeah.
And then we're like, one I remember, because obviously everyone knows Mel Gibson, not a great guy, right?
Yeah.
His reputation is like pretty tarnished. And he's looking quite kind of a bit haggard. He's got the big beard now. But there was a moment in the first Lethal Weapon where people forget he was voted sexiest man on earth. He was the first ever sexiest man alive in People magazine.
Yeah.
There was one moment in the first Lethal Weapon where he's quite young, he's quite hunky, where Stacey's like, he's pretty handsome. Like, I've just never really considered it before because he's a very awful man, but he's a bit of a hunk.
Yeah.
But we actually just watched Predator 1 and 2 this weekend as well.
Oh, Predator's such a great movie.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I was going to say though, right, in my part of my view of what movie still holds up is something that also hasn't dated poorly. Mm-hmm. And I think Lethal Weapon is quite a bit of racism. So
yeah. And
while
really
arguably
casual...
a good action film.
Oh yeah.
Not.
I'm not saying that Lethal Weapon. I was more getting to the Predator section of that. Lethal Weapon also like very casual homophobia as well in Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
like they'll hug after something traumatic's happened, then they'll be like, "Whoa, gross!"
Two guys hugging. How dare we?
Yeah, it's something. When you say hold up, okay, so here's a question then, because I would say that arguably a lot of people would say that the Back to the Future films hold up, but Back to the Future 2, does it technically hold up since it got the future so wrong?
Oh, yeah, we're past the dates in the future.
I think like story structure wise and entertainment wise, sure, but it's now past the point where you're like, now you have to watch it through another lens of like, look at these idiots. They thought we were going to have all this stuff.
Yeah. That's, you know what? Good point. I'll take that as a valid answer. The Back to the Future series did not hold up.
But I tell you why I think that Predator holds up so much more than Lethal Weapon is that Lethal Weapon is like 80s through and through. So it's got like the synthy kind of score. Mel Gibson, glorious mullet through the whole thing.
Yeah, so glorious.
A lot of flannel tucked into like high blue jeans and New Balance sneaker kind of look. But because Predator is set mainly in a jungle and they're all in army uniforms and they've all got crew cuts, it doesn't feel as 80s as Lethal Weapon does because it's kind of removed from society. And I think that like period films like Back to the Future, it's mainly set in the 50s. A lot of it doesn't date because it is kind of like a very specific look, whereas Lethal Weapon was so cool and modern that it now looks very 80s.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually, just the scenario itself. You could even say, oh no, I forgot the name of the film. A 2001 A Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
Right? Like, almost for the same reason, doesn't quite age, which is even older, right?
Yeah. That's in the 60s, 2001
60s,
Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
And it...
but it's kind of like, just this weird space station-y thing. And like,
everyone's dressed in like kind of onesie space uniforms. But yeah, you're right. It does, apart from maybe the slower pace of it, it honestly...
Oh my God, so slow. Holy crap.
They
I think
would
it's
just
still a great
never
film, but by God.
Me too, but it's the kind of film they would just never release now. They're like, boring. Put a gunfight in it or something. So apart from the slower pace, which might give away that it's like a 60s Kubrick film, aesthetically, you could tell people that was from the 90s, I think, and people would probably believe you. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. Okay. What about... Because, okay, this is a 90s movie, I think. But Mission Impossible. Actually, I think it's Mission Impossible 2.
Mission Impossible 2 is from the year 2000.
Oh my god!
I know. It looks so much older, doesn't it?
It does. It really does.
So Mission Impossible 2 is equal parts the worst and the best Mission Impossible film. It's the worst in terms of like a film because the plot is pretty nonsensical and it's just not that well constructed. But the best because it's so laughably of its time.
Yeah.
Where like
yeah, that's a good point.
Like this is how the year 2000 it is. It starts with Tom Cruise rock climbing. He's got his glorious hair. It's my favorite Tom Cruise hair. He's rock climbing and he gets up to the top and he gets a little rocket comes down with his mission. And he puts on a pair. He puts on a pair of Oakleys, like year 2000 Oakleys, and the mission plays, and then he throws them off to the soundtrack of Limp Bizkit, Take a Look Around. And if that doesn't encapsulate the year 2000, I don't know what does.
Just sidebar. Mm-hmm. Did Oakley's go under? I feel like there was a very short window in which Oakley's was like the sunglasses.
They did. So we'll continue this sidebar. Oakley was like the dominant thing in like the late 90s, early 2000s. And I think it's Luxottica, I think is the brand that owns pretty much every sunglasses brand you can imagine. Ray-Ban and Oliver Peoples and stuff like that. They essentially have like a monopoly on sunglasses and they tried to buy Oakley. And Oakley didn't refused, and essentially they stopped stocking them. In Luxottica also own like Sunglass Hut and like all the major sunglass retailers. They stopped stocking Oakley in all of their stores. They drove the price down, and then they brought it when they went bankrupt.
Oh no!
But one last thing on Mission Impossible 2, and I'm aware that it's not an 80s movie, but the funniest thing watching it, I hope you got this as well, Nelson, is it's set mainly in Sydney. And it's so funny because the third act of the film is this huge car chase, but they're driving through like the Sydney suburbs in like Ford Falcons and Toyota Hiluxes and stuff like that. Like it's not action movie cars. It's like suburban. Like you go down to like a local shopping center and these are the cars you would find in the parking lot.
It's so funny. I actually wonder if that was something because in Australia, to get like a film here, there's normally the government being like, but make sure there's Australian stuff in it. So people, kind of know in some way or another. Yeah. And I wonder if they were like, put a Ford Commodore in there as well.
I remember
the least interesting car ever.
There was all these stories when that was being filmed about, they filmed down in Circular Quay near the bridge, because of course that's the shot you want to get in this kind of movie. And there was all these stories being like, oh, you're not allowed to look at Tom Cruise. Like, they're being super strict. He won't let you look at them. But what it turned out to be is they just got all these people that wanted to come down and be extras. But people wouldn't stop staring at Tom Cruise. And they're like, in this scene, he's not supposed to be. Like, he's meant to be walking through like a regular guy and everybody is looking at him. You need to stop looking at Tom Cruise. But it got spun as this like, oh, Tom Cruise doesn't like people looking at him. It's like, no, you're ruining the scene.
It does feel like an early 2000s Australia. Where like a famous person comes to our country and we're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm in the vicinity of a famous person. I literally can't look away.
My last fact, and I promise it's my last fact about Mission Impossible 2, is that the main villain in Mission Impossible 2, he's like the evil version of Ethan Hunt. He's played by an actor called Dougray Scott. He's a Scottish actor. And he was cast as Wolverine in the first X-Men movie. Oh. But because Mission Impossible 2 went so over its scheduled filming, he had to drop out of X-Men playing Wolverine to be in Mission Impossible 2. And Hugh Jackman was cast at the last minute. How regretful do you think that guy is? Because Hugh Jackman played him for like 17 years after that.
Yeah. Although I do wonder, right? Because sometimes it's about
the right actor,
you've just
and the
matched
right role.
the right actor with character, and that's why it's got such longevity.
But
like I don't think Logan would have existed with this dude.
But
but he probably would have been more famous.
I think in his mind, he would be like, I would have had that exact career.
I would assume the same.
If
I was up for the part of Wolverine,
if I had played Wolverine in X-Men, I would have been the greatest showman, and that's a fact.
Back to my point of why I think it didn't really age is because, like, some movies I'm kind of maybe oblivious to this stuff, like the older versions.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I was just like very consciously aware of it the whole time, which is that this movie had one female character the entire film. I'm not even talking, like, I'm talking even just speaking parts.
Yep.
Like, I was consciously thinking about it. I'm like, I don't think I've seen another female speak this entire film. It's just one lady, the main actress, who's the love interest. And there are no other females. And that just, like, blew my mind. Not even one. Just one tiny line to another extra would have been something.
It's, yeah. Have we ever talked about the Bechdel test on this show? We probably have.
Yeah,
It's like
I think so.
This set of questions to warrant whether or not a film has agency for female characters. And it's 3 questions that you answer in order. And it doesn't even pass the first question, which is there more than one female character?
Yeah.
It doesn't even pass the very first step of that. And the weird thing is, so that character is played by Tandy Newton. And the Mission Impossible franchise is pretty good at bringing characters back, like that have been in previous films. And she's never returned either.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. I just sort of, I would feel sorry for that. Yeah. Actress as well.
Yeah.
What'd you say? Tandy
Newton.
Anyway. Tandy Newton. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Like, because I just feel like there would even be a different vibe on set being the only female actress at the time. Like, I could just imagine there would be this weird, like, tension or something. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and so I think it's crazy that it's and in the 2000s, even early 2000s, seems kind of late into the game of, hey, let's maybe have more females in a movie, but apparently not. Apparently not. Okay, we should maybe move on, but maybe I'm just going to quickly read through some of the comments because I thought that might be interesting.
I mean, we talked mainly about a movie from the year 2000, so we didn't really hit the mark.
We didn't really talk about The Terminator. Yeah, I feel like The Terminator 2 is where it's at.
Yeah, I agree. The first Terminator, I can appreciate for what it did because it was very low budget. It kind of created like this robot slasher film, and it's been copied a lot. But I don't think it holds up anywhere near as much as Terminator 2 holds up, which is from 91. Yeah. Terminator 2 is from 91 or 92 maybe. So it doesn't count.
Yeah. Well, I've just thought about it. Is there only one female character in that film the whole time too? No, there's still other speaking parts of other, like the woman who gets murdered. I think,
her friend who gets murdered.
But still, better than Mission Impossible 2.
To his credit, James Cameron at least tends to write strong female protagonists.
That's true.
Like Sarah Connor, Alan Ripley.
Sarah Connor, Mm-hmm. That's true. Stand By Me, great film.
Great film. Yep, absolutely.
No
Again,
females?
but because it's set in the 50s, it's a period film. I think it doesn't date as much.
It's timeless. But then, at what point does Lethal Weapon become a period film?
No, but I'm saying because
it's only if they film it in the different year than it's actually set.
Yeah, I think
it makes it period film.
if a film is filmed now and set in the 80s, it wouldn't date because being like, oh my God, this is so 2021, this film, because it's deliberately trying to be a different date.
Yeah. What if somebody just started a rumor that Lethal Weapon was created in
1999 or something?
Yeah.
Like, oh, they really captured the mid-80s.
They did such a good job of the 80s stuff. Yeah. I think that's how you get around it.
Yeah.
That's how you get around it. Predator, Back to the Future as mentioned.
Yep.
Indiana Jones trilogy, we didn't mention.
Yep.
That's
again,
pretty good.
Set in a different period.
Set in a different period.
Yep.
Return
That's the key, isn't it?
Return of the Living Dead.
Oh, yeah, the Romero movie.
I don't remember that one. Is that the black and white one?
That's neither Living Dead, and then there was...
so close.
Oh, wait, no, I think that might not be the Romero one. Return of the Living Dead might be a different one. He had Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. Yeah, so it's not Romero.
Never mind then.
No, never mind.
The last one, which is obviously the best, Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yeah. You know what? Groundbreaking film. Like
groundbreaking.
Legitimately, there are shots in that film now that I'm like, I'm so impressed that they pulled this off. I would be impressed if they pulled this off now. I'm so impressed that they pulled this off in the 80s.
yeah, it's impressive. Some of that stuff. Let's do one really quick one.
Okay.
Because I have an answer straight away.
Okay.
This is by Enigma Z Web 24. What is the worst candy ever made?
I'm not an aniseed guy. So anything with aniseed.
Well, do you know what? Okay, here's the thing. I love licorice. I love licorice.
Yeah.
But my answer was going to be the salted licorice that we received
yeah.
from...
It was part of, was it Secret Santa that I got that? Why did
Santa?
Why did we get that? I don't
Maybe
remember.
we just got them sent to us for
Maybe
some
we did.
reason.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of candy, yeah.
It was so weird that, like, I love licorice and I love savory things. Like, I'm a big salt guy just in general. I actually prefer savory things over sweet things in general. So I was like, oh my God, salted licorice. This is the best combination that could possibly happen. Disgusting. It's terrible. How do the Swedes do it? I don't know.
Oh, by the way, I was informed just in this slight between lockdowns when we actually went out in public together, Nelson. A friend of ours informed me that we can register for a free parcel locker with Australia Post, which brings my dream of the international snacks address just that little bit closer. If anyone wants to send us snacks from their country, I can set up a free parcel box.
Here's the thing. Is it worth the risk of accidentally getting salt licorice again? You know? What if people are packaging things in mysterious ways and I accidentally eat salted licorice again? I'll never forgive myself.
I am fine if people are like, this isn't the best stuff from my country. This is the weirdest stuff from my country. I'd be fine with that.
Okay, that's fine. I just feel like we're going to accidentally stumble down a rabbit hole of only getting salted licorice and we'll regret our lives.
What this is, Nelson, this is exactly the same as the Secret Santa with the millionaires, but there's a 1 in 30 chance you get the Satan. That's what we're playing with here.
Yeah, that's true. Oh my God, this is the perfect answer for the first question. What would you ruin summer Christmas? Salted licorice. You could play that game without anybody knowing.
So
you pretend to be genuinely. Oh God!
I'm so sorry. I hit the button. I had my hand hovering, ready to go.
Oh, I see how it is now. You're the one that decides when we move on. That's fine. Okay, let's get into today's advice. I guess fine.
We'll do it when I'm ready, Nelson.
It wasn't even
So now it's time for Today I Learned.
You know what? I wanted to stop it early. What do you think of that?
Oh, Jesus. I thought it was the intro to Shower Thoughts for a second. But anyway. Okay. Here's some advice. This was by Ranch Dressing 321. My neighbor suddenly wants to use our Wi-Fi and he's asking for the password. What do I do? They continue. He first asked my mum if he could use our internet connection every once in a while so that he can use Messenger to call his wife. And my mum just threw me under the bus by saying that, Ranch knows the password. You should ask him. So now he's waiting for me to go outside one of these days so that he could ask for the password. To be honest, our family's perspective of that certain neighbor is quite shady, as there would be times where he would just scream at the top of his voice while cursing either his wife or just to express anger. What do I do?
I think you need to lie. It really depends because it depends like on a lot of factors about the internet connection. Like for example, in this house we use the Google Wi-Fi nodes, and you can literally select device by device. So I would just block that device and be like, I don't know, man, it just doesn't seem to be working for you. Maybe it doesn't reach far enough or something like that. You know what I mean?
So they can connect, but they can't.
Yeah, it would just keep timing out.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah. I was thinking what you should do is give them the Wi-Fi password and try to work out, like if they're wanting to use it for a call or something, you try to monitor when they're going to use the internet at a particular time.
Yeah.
And then you download a really intensive file so that the bandwidth is really low and really terrible, and it keeps cutting out, because there is something worse than no internet, and it's bad internet.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
factually correct. And so I think that if you could just get him so frustrated enough and you only turn it on when he's using it, and so you can be like, oh yeah, I don't know why it's doing this, you know. I reckon you could even do it once and then change the password and kind of put him on the back foot a little bit and be like, oh yeah, after we give you the password, like start running really funny and be like, oh look, I don't know what it is. Look, we'll try it again. I'll give you the password. It's been running fine now. I'll give you the password. And then that second time, do the same thing.
Yeah.
And then be like, look, maybe you got a virus on your computer or something, but like we got to change our password again. And so we can't give it to you because it's been running so horribly, as I'm sure you've experienced.
Yep. I would also wonder, because, I think you're right. Like, bad internet was worse than no internet. So you want to make the experience bad. Is there a way to do like a parental lock? So like they can't visit certain websites, you've blocked certain things. And be like, this is just how we set up our internet. Like, we don't want we don't want people visiting that kind of stuff. And also, by the way, just so you know, that we turn our router off every night at 6 p.m. as well, because that's enough internet for the day. So it won't be on at night.
We don't want to run the internet into the ground.
Yeah.
You know, it's got a limited lifespan, and we'd like to extend that
essentially,
as much as possible.
I think my grandparents think that you get charged per how much the internet is used. So they, like, once they're done, they unplug their router. They'll go on the internet and then they'll unplug your router and be like, they're not going to get us for any internet we're not using. It's like, that's in no way how it works, but well done for getting one over on the internet company.
You're still paying the monthly amount for internet.
But if you can make this person believe that you do that, being like, obviously once I've used the internet, I go and I unplug it. Just I don't want to be paying for any internet that's not being used, So you let me know every time you want to go on, and I'll plug it back in for you.
I think maybe that's the way to do it. That's how you work out at what time they're going to be using the internet to then do the first plan of overrunning it at that time. I think that's a good thing.
But if it's a neighbor, couldn't you just go, I don't think it extends that far?
Yeah. But then you still have to. Do you still have to give them the password though? I mean, it might be true. You might just be able to put, if it's a neighbor, because it could be if they're in an apartment.
Yeah.
Versus a house could be different. So if you're in an apartment, it would be harder, I think.
Yeah.
But if you're in a house, you could put the router at the other end of the house from where they are, and hopefully that's enough range for it to cut out frequently for them. It's just don't you think it's such a weird thing to ask for these days as well? Like, I would be so suspicious about somebody asking for it from me.
It's pretty weird.
I'd be like, I'm sorry, but this, like, you'd need a good reason.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you have internet right now? Because I'm like, maybe the government has cut off your internet because you were caught doing illegal things.
I'd have no problem like giving someone access to my internet if they don't have it, if there's some kind of circumstance that deems that not so. But the fact that they were saying that this person's quite shady, always yelling at their significant other or whatever, where I'm like, they clearly just don't want to pay for the internet.
Yeah.
Then that's different,
Yeah, that's dodgy.
Like, if there was like, I don't know.
Do you reckon maybe, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. You ask for a trade of sorts. So you're like, okay, I'll give you the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
But I get free access to your fridge 24/7.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Anything in your fridge is I can have.
And I would say you should then, on an almost daily basis, clear out their fridge. So they're like, this is not worth it. The internet I'm using,
get internet. Or half eat things, like a block of cheese. Take a big bite out of it and put it back. I think this is an episode of Seinfeld, actually, with Kramer and Jerry, I'm pretty sure. Okay, should I do another thing? I don't know. Where are we going? Sure, I don't know. Here's another one. This is by Dennis Ma. It's 3:30 a.m. I have to get up for work at 6:30 a.m. What's the best way I can gain energy in these 3 hours without falling into a deep sleep? Have you ever had this issue before?
Yeah.
Like maybe I've had it for like up late because I don't know, probably playing games or something is normally the reason why I'm up so late.
Yeah, not a good reason. Yeah,
not a good reason at all. And me being like, I've just like convinced myself to stay up for so long. You know what? Sometimes it's watching something live. Actually, I feel like times when I'm really forcing myself to stay up where I get to the kind of like 3 hour, 4 hour mark before I have to get up again. It's normally because I'm watching something live and I'm like, I don't want to miss this. You know, it's in a different country or something. And so, yeah, I think that it's something that I've experienced before.
The question, I think this is the really important question, is they're up at 6 a.m. and they want energy for when they're up at 6 a.m. How long are they going to be up for from 6 a.m.?
Oh, that's a very good point.
If it's a short window, there are solutions to that, I think. They're not good, but they'll get you through, you know, like a bunch of caffeine and energy drinks or whatever. It'll give you a real...
Crack cocaine.
It'll give you a real spike. But if you're doing like a full 8-hour shift or something, that's not going to work. You're just going to crash even worse. So that's the real question that we need answered.
You need a longer breather.
Because if it's short term, there's all the things you think of when like Red Bulls or coffees or whatnot. They'll all work to an extent, but if it's a long day, I think you just need to sleep. Like you're not really gonna get anything better than sleep.
I've remembered another scenario that I'm often up early in the morning and then have to work the next day. And that was when I was younger. I'd often be out to the pub till like early in the morning. Yeah. So not only do I have to get up early, but I'm also hungover when I do. And my solution for most of the time, and then I would have to go to the cinema and work. And most of the time, my solution for that was like struggle to get out of bed, struggle to have a shower. I think a shower works a little bit. It gives you a little bit more energy.
Yep. And fresh air as well.
Yeah. Get to work. Let everybody know you're there. Tell somebody you're going to go into the storeroom and do some work. And lie down in the corner where the cameras can't see you and have a little nap. Yeah,
you did have, in the storeroom of the cinema we worked, you did have what is referred to as the sleeping corner.
The sleeping corner, yeah.
No camera can see it. You can make a little bit out of popcorn bags.
That's literally what I was about to say. Is what's surprisingly more comfortable than people might think. It's a huge bag of kernels.
Unpopped popcorn kernels in a large bag isn't a bad bet.
Hessian bag. Yep. Yeah. It can double as a pillow in a pinch.
Yeah.
Actually, the bigger problem I had was the floor was really cold. Because it was like a linen, what's that called? Lionel sort of flooring. Yeah. And so I think that occasionally I would get some boxes and put them on the floor and then lay on top of the boxes so there was a bit of a buffer. And then if I was feeling really good about it, I would get some more boxes and put them on top
over
of
the top,
blanket.
a little cardboard blanket.
Yeah. But it was hard to sometimes get enough boxes to reach that.
The thing is, upstairs because our cinema went digital at some point, but they still had the full projection booth. But also, whenever we have the gold class cinemas here in Australia with the big, comfortable recliner chairs, but if those ever broke, they would just store them up in the projection room, which is a dark room, no windows, with big, comfy chairs just sitting there, and no one ever goes up there.
Yeah, that room is hard to stay awake in, even if
You do need to.
You're well rested. It's just dark the whole time.
It depends how you go with white noise, because there is always the hum of servers. No matter what you do, there is the hum of servers.
Yeah.
But if people quite like the white noise, then it's look, you can have a snooze up there for sure.
Yeah. So that's my trick. Sleep at work. Sleep wherever you need to be.
Find your sleeping corner.
Find your sleeping corner.
Take advantage of it.
Find your metaphorical corn kernel pillow at work. Okay, well, let's get into shower thoughts.
Shower thoughts, shower thoughts, shower thoughts, shower thoughts.
This shower thought is by You Can't See Sean 30. Adult life is hard, but at least we don't have to do PE anymore. I inherently disagree with this because PE, if I had to rate sort of like activities of life and PE class, I would say just general activities of life much harder. If I could replace, let's just say, like cleaning my apartment with climbing a rope, I would opt for climbing a rope.
Here's an example. Australia recently had their census night. You sit down and you fill out the census with all your information. Would you rather do that, Nelson, or a couple burpees?
I do a couple
of burpees every time.
I'll play kickball, Campo. Every now and again, you just do a shitty sport that they're like, I don't know what to do today.
But
what
if
big
Nelson,
plastic ball, kick it?
you were like, I want this means like, do I want to do the dishes or PE? And you go like, PE, but then they made you do the beep test, which was the most dreaded of all the PE classes.
That was the worst part of it. Yeah, but here's a little life hack for all you people who might have to do the beep test later on in life. I don't know if that's an inherently Australian thing, is it? I don't know.
I don't think it is.
It's everywhere. Okay,
it's not like coffee that is just in Melbourne. I think that the beep test.
Yeah. Well, good coffee.
Yeah, good coffee. Obviously.
My handy tip, my life hack, if you will, is just go one up and back and go. I'm puffed. Then you sit down and then play games on your phone for the rest of the class.
Yeah, like you failed the beep test, but you saved a lot of time, didn't you?
Yeah, but it's either that or housework.
Yeah.
So think about that.
You can fail a beep test in seconds.
Yeah. It's so and isn't everybody a failure in the beep test in the end?
That's true. There's no winner.
Always wins.
Yeah.
The beep test always wins. Actually, no, I think that in my school it was like this legend, a myth where it's like after you get to the like 15, 10 or whatever, I can't remember what it goes up to. Like the tape stops. And it's like, well, that's as far as you can go.
The cowards didn't even record the whole thing.
Yeah, I think they were just like, nobody's going to get this far. So I think there was like a rumor that like, one dude, like a few year levels above ended up getting to the end of the tape and he won the beep test. It's a glorious day for all. We all celebrated and finally we thought that meant that nobody had to do it again.
This is the kind of conspiracy theory I can get around. That you can beat the beep test. And
I think that
big beep tests don't want you to know it either.
I think that should be a rule in schools. Like everyone hates doing the beep test out of everything in class. You know what? We've been talking about it so much. I feel like just in case it's not global, we should explain. Basically, you have to run like let's say 20 meters.
Yeah, a little further, I think. But yeah, like it's a certain predetermined distance.
20 meters pretty sure.
Okay. I would say it's probably close to like 50 meters. It used to be about a basketball court-ish, half a basketball court, roughly.
Yeah, that's why in my head I was like, maybe it's not quite 50 meters. But yeah, maybe. Whatever. It's a certain distance. And the beep test will be like, beep level 1. And you kind of stroll to the other end of the basketball court or the designated distance and then you could wait there if you got there early enough, and then you wait for the next beep. It goes beep, and then you go back and it goes level 1, 2. But then the beeps get faster and faster, so you have to make it to the other end before the beep goes off. And as soon as it beeps, you run back again. So it's like a back and forth thing that progressively gets faster.
Nelson, I just binged it. You were correct. It is 20 meters. I guess as a kid, it just felt longer.
Felt longer, yeah. But so obviously it'll end up going like level 15, 1, beep, level 15, 2, beep, and it's like it gets really fast. Yeah. So I think that there should be a thing in schools where like if one kid can beat the beep test for the next 5 years, no other kid has to do it.
And they get like a little plaque, and it's like they've like every year that you're meant to do it, be like, and obviously we're not doing the beep test thanks to Dylan here.
Yeah, everybody chants Dylan. I think that's how it should work. But arguably, the point is, PE class was much easier than life. So I don't know who would pass up this deal. Here's another list by Surfing Jesus. You can legally kick out your own child at 18 with nothing, but be forced to take care of another adult you want nothing to do with after divorce. I have to admit, I had never actually thought about it in this context before. And to me, it seems so amazing that this is possible.
Yeah.
Because realistically, that shouldn't... Like, I understand the idea of once you've been with someone, you can get... I think the whole thing is, like, you can get accustomed to a certain lifestyle, and if, you know... you as a couple kind of agreed one person's going to stay at home, one person's going to work sort of thing, then you might get paid. You kind of need to continue that agreement, I guess. But to me, that makes sense, like, if you've been married for a long time.
Well, I understand it in the sense of, like, let's say someone's a movie star and their partner is a stay-at-home parent raising kids, and the kids are going to very fancy schools because the movie star's making a lot of money, and you've got all these really expensive things. And then when you get divorced, you're like, well, all of this needs to keep up.
Yeah.
Because I'm taking care of these kids and sending them to these expensive schools, etc. You need to be paying for this. Otherwise, you're right. Like this level of whatever kind of goes. So I understand in that sense as well.
I would have thought though that like that kind of comes out of child support for those specific things, but alimony is like maybe a little bit different in the sense that it's like, well,
that's true.
Like, do you need to go to your expensive yoga class every week? You know, like, I know I'm the famous movie star and I've been paying for it this whole time, but like, is that something that you need to continue to go to and that I need to pay for through alimony? I just feel like it's such a strange concept that you can be locked into paying something. I don't know if alimony is always like forever. Maybe it's only a period of time. But still, I
essentially know. What this turns out to be is like, if you get divorced, it's society being like, hey, you said you promised. Man, you said you promised. I don't know what to tell you, man. You said you promised.
That's right, man, that's so funny. There is? Yeah, okay, I don't know, because I guess there's also like things like assets. And if you have something that you need to pay off, let's say it's like a property that has been paid for by the person you're married to.
Yeah.
And then in the divorce, obviously, you normally split assets. But if you got the asset of like a property, you couldn't pay money for like the upkeep, like rates and things like that. Like a property needs, you need to spend money on it in general. You can't just sit on it. So maybe there's like certain things like that. I don't know. It just seems so nuts to me. Anyway, Yeah, but your own child, you can just like, 18, see you later.
Get out.
Good luck with everything. Yeah.
Do you think that after 18 years of marriage, you shouldn't have to pay any?
Yeah. No, but I think it's worse. It's like it works in the reverse.
The longer you're married, the worse it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe you have to last till 18 years.
Yeah. Before
Before you can get alimony.
Yeah.
It's the reverse of that situation.
Okay.
I think that's how you have to work. This last one is by Multifandom1. Being bored in your own house is somehow better than being bored at someone else's house.
Well, because all your stuff is there.
Yeah, I know, but it's funny because it's still like the same concept, right? Like you're bored regardless. But I think because the reason why I brought this one up is actually because I think sometimes, I've only had a girlfriend sort of recently, again for not that long, right? So we're at the point where we're staying at each other's house pretty frequently, and I think sometimes we do just get bored at other people's houses. Even though obviously I love spending time with her, want to be with her, but I'm bored at your place, and I know at my place maybe I'll just be bored as well. Like I might just be doing the same things, watching TV, but I need to be bored at my place. Yeah. There's like some different. I could be doing the exact same things.
There's just
nothingness.
A weird comforting thing about it.
Yeah. Like, it's almost like an illusion. Like, if I wasn't here and I was at my place, I could not potentially be bored. But the truth is, I would just be bored at my place. So anyway, I think that's how it works. All right, Campbell, let's get into podnapping.
Oh my God, I'm being podnapped! Podnapping.
This is Podnapping, where we nap a pod. We take a topic of conversation or a segment from another podcast and we do it ourselves. This week is my week. And this week I kind of had a few ideas, and most of them took more work than I had time for or was willing to put in. And so I've decided to go with, I'm just going to do trivia, kind of. But I wanted to actually podnap a podcast because, sometimes we don't. So I thought I'll find a particular trivia podcast that I like. There's quite a few. Mm-hmm. I ended up going with one called Trivia with Buds.
Oh.
And you think, Cambo, that this might be like Trivia with Buds, BUDS, like because it's a podcast and you're listening through it with friends, like earbuds.
Oh, right. I was thinking like buddies.
Yeah. No, it is that version, but I just thought it would be cool if he said BUDS.
See, I also know.
I just wanted to point out that I came up with a better name for his podcast.
I also want to point out that I know someone who goes by the name Buds. So this could have been, if Buds hosted it, it would be Trivia with Buds.
Yeah. You know what? I skipped through the first part of it on the few episodes that I listened to. So his name might be Bud. Anyway, no, it is Buds, BUDS, like with friends. And I thought, some of our listeners might genuinely like this. They're actually really short episodes. They're like 10-ish minute long. And the idea is, and I was meant to do this earlier, Cambo, but maybe you could get out your phone ready to type some answers down.
Okay, sure.
Because the way that I'm going to do that, I wanted to, I've slightly adapted what this person does, but I'm also going to keep to his format in the same time.
So just on the Notes app or something?
Yeah, that's fine, yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the questions, but I'm not going to give you the answer straight away.
Sure.
So I'm going to give you the question, give you time to sort of think about it, and then write something down. Okay. So it's a little bit timed.
Yep.
And we'll go from there.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, and so also part of this is because I think it's a part of this podcast, Trivia with Buds, is that listeners can kind of participate in the trivia as it happens as well. So
I've got my notes
So if
app
you're at
out,
home,
but listeners also get your notes app out.
also get your notes app out. I mean, you can do it in your head, but get your notes.
But then
out.
we won't believe the score if you do it in your head.
We don't. Yeah. When you're like, oh yeah, I got perfect score, then pretty rubbish. Okay, here we go, Cambo. First question.
Yep.
I've also targeted this a little bit more in your realm, so
Okay.
it's a little bit easier.
Sure.
In one episode of this TV series, an annoying insect puts production on halt. This is question one.
Yep.
In one episode of this TV series, an annoying insect puts production on halt.
Yep. I think I've got it.
Okay.
Divisive episode.
Number two. This TV show was centered around one character. This TV show was centered around one character.
Okay.
You can maybe come back to it, Kevin. But
Yeah,
we'll
just
continue on.
I feel like I don't know if you're allowed to elaborate, but like there are many shows that fit that criteria.
Or is there? Or is there? Can be. Question three. You know what? I actually might come back to that one because I do have a theory. Well, we're gonna come back to that one.
Okay.
Question number three. Characters in this TV show frequently ended relationships over mundane things, such as not tasting a pie because they had the same name as a serial killer, eating peas one at a time. Characters in this TV show frequently ended relationships over mundane things such as not tasting a pie because they had the same name as a serial killer, or eating peas one at a time. Question number four. This show's 22 Emmy nominations in 2009 is a record for the most nominations a comedy show ever received in a single year. Question 4. This show's 22 Emmy nominations in 2009 is a record for the most nominations a comedy show ever received in a single year.
Okay. I'm not too sure about that one.
Question number 5. Seth Green was one of the head writers for this stop-motion animation TV series.
Yep.
Question 5. Seth Green was one of the head writers for this stop-motion animation TV series. Question 6. The Upside is an adaptation to which original film? Question 6. The Upside is an adaptation to which original film? Question 7. Matt Damon was cast in what movie for being an unknown actor with an all-American look? Question 7. Matt Damon was cast in what movie for being an unknown actor with an all-American look?
That's a tough one.
And I'll say the quote. So that quote, "unknown actor with an all-American look," came from the director.
Okay.
Question 8. Megasaki is a city in which film? Question 8. Megasaki is a city in which film?
I don't know this one.
Oh, okay. That probably is a tricky one.
To be fair, I also can't work out that Matt Damon one either.
Oh, I thought out of everyone, Camber, you might know.
Well, I have a theory about what it is, but it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to write it anyway.
Okay. Question 9. What movie is based around the Canadian caper? Question 9. What movie is based around the Canadian caper?
Canadian caper, okay.
Mm-hmm. Which the problem is I haven't seen that movie. Okay. I'm not sure if it's referenced. I think it is referenced as that, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
I'm like 95% sure. Okay. Now question 10.
Yep.
What is the connection to all these questions? Question 10, what is the connection to all these questions? And by doing so, it might help you with some of the other answers.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to quickly read out all the questions again.
Yep.
But you think about it while you're doing that. Okay. Question 1. In one episode of this TV series, an annoying insect puts production on halt. Number 2. This TV show was centered around one character. Number 3. Characters in this TV show frequently ended relationships over mundane things such as not tasting a pie because they had the same name as a serial killer, eating peas one at a time. Question 4. This show's 22 Emmy nominations in 2009 is a record for the most nominations a comedy show ever received in a single year. Question number 5. Seth Green was one of the head writers for this stop-motion animation TV series. Question 6. The Upside is an adaptation to which original film? Question 7. Matt Damon was cast in what movie for being an unknown actor with an all-American look? Number 8. Megasaki is the city in which film? Number 9. What movie is based around the Canadian caper? And question 10. What is the connection to all these questions?
Yep, okay. So I have answers for most of them, but would it be interesting to say what I think the connection is at the end, or say what I think the connection is and then explain why I think the answer is that?
Maybe we should do it that way. Yeah, because because this is what I've done a little bit differently from the podcast. I say they actually give you kind of the topic.
Yep.
And then, but I thought it might be more fun if I make the topic a secret till the end.
Right.
So normally they'd just go through the answers, but yeah, let's mix it up. You tell me what you think maybe the connection is.
Is the connection the actor Bryan Cranston?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah.
You have the connection.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think for that, I'm going to give you 2 points. I feel
Okay,
like if you
great.
got listeners, if you got the connection at home, you could get 2 points.
Okay. So
Everything else is 1 point.
Here's my thinking. It actually made me change some answers.
Okay.
It also affirmed other answers. So the episode based around an insect, question number 1,
Yep.
I believe is the episode Fly from Breaking Bad.
From Breaking Bad, that is correct. Yep.
Starring Bryan Cranston.
Bryan
Now,
Cranston.
the problem with question 2, this is this. So
This is the one that I was going to get back to if you
can-
didn't get the connection right.
Can you phrase
What I
it
would-
again?
Yeah. This one I was just doing play on words.
Yeah.
Which is, this TV show was centered around one
Good.
character.
Yeah. The word centered is what I was looking for there. So,
Yeah.
Because, essentially, because I was like, my original answer I put, well, there's a TV show called Last Man on Earth, which is
Yeah.
about one character. But the word center makes me think it's Malcolm in the Middle.
Correct. Malcolm in the Middle, yeah. That one was a bit dodgy because it's the only one that's not like a literal answer.
Yeah.
It's being a bit like
Yes.
sly. But that's why I thought if you got Bryan Cranston, then you might get that, which you did. So,
which I did.
yeah.
I changed my answer. Yep. Question number 3 was about the sitcom where people break up because of trivial things. I already written Seinfeld, but that made me feel better knowing that Bryan Cranston used to guest star in Seinfeld.
Yeah. He gets stars as a dentist, I believe, in Seinfeld.
Yes.
Number 4.
He's in it for the jokes or something, isn't he? What's the premise of that?
Yeah. I can't remember. Yeah, I think it is something stupid like that. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So question number 4. This show's 22 Emmy nominations in 2009 is a record for the most nominations a comedy show ever received in a single year. You weren't sure about this one.
Yeah, so I can think of shows that do very well with awards. And the thing is, like, it could have been Malcolm in the Middle. That ended around that time, but I don't think it was. I just can't remember. I remember 30 Rock being a really popular show with awards, and I cannot remember whether Bryan Cranston ever appeared in it. Mm-hmm. So I went with 30 Rock, unsure of whether or not that is correct.
You're correct.
Yes!
Cameron.
Okay.
30 Rock.
Great.
Yes. He
So-
actually stars as like, I think it's like his the stepdad of of what's his name? Kenneth.
Oh,
He's
right.
like,
Okay.
At
right.
one point, his mum is dating
Yeah.
somebody, and it's
Yeah.
Bryan Cranston. It's like a really small thing because I had to
Yeah.
put some small ones in there that made you uncertain about what the topic
Well,
was.
I'm glad I got that.
Yeah. Question number 5. Seth Green was one of the head writers for this stop-motion animation TV series.
Yeah, so that's Robot Chicken. I'm assuming Bryan Cranston has done voices for it before.
He's just done some voices.
Yeah.
Do you know what was amazing, actually? I went through a bunch of different people that I thought I could make the central sort of actor or actress on. And so many, in fact, I think almost every person I searched had done a voice in Robot Chicken.
Robot Chicken has a
like,
pretty prolific voice cast, yeah.
Yeah. Like the first person I did was Alison Hannigan, and she's done some.
Yep.
Then I did Michelle Trachtenberg. These were Buffy characters, by the way, is how it started. And even she's done some, which is like, she's a sort of obscure person. And then...
Well, see, that'll make sense because Seth Green was in Buffy, so it makes sense that he's friends with all of them, and they've come in and done voices for his show.
Yeah.
See, that makes sense
but
more
then
to me.
even,
I'm trying to work out what the connection between Seth Green and Bryan Cranston is.
Yeah. We need to do the, Kevin Bacon. Degrees.
But it's of Robot Chicken. 6 degrees of Robot Chicken.
Exactly, yeah. But yeah, so many. I even searched other like sort of more random people, and I was like, how the F did they just get these random people on there? I think maybe even Keanu Reeves or something was on there at one point, possibly. Anyway, the episode question number 6, the Upside is an adaptation to which original film?
The Upside, starring Bryan Cranston, is an American remake of Les Intouchables or The Intouchables. The French film. Yeah,
that is correct. I figured that you would get that one. The question number 7.
Yep.
Now you weren't sure about this one, but Matt Damon was cast in what movie for being an unknown actor with an all-American look?
So this one this is the last one I worked out.
Yeah.
Okay. I was trying to think of it, and to me, I'm thinking when Matt Damon was unknown, he became known after Good Will Hunting. And originally, that was the answer I originally had. But I was like, but that doesn't make sense because he wrote that film. So he wrote it for him. It would not make sense for someone to be like, oh, you work because of this. Because he's like, no, I wrote it for me. But then I remembered, I went through my brain, my little IMDb up in my head.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, is Bryan Cranston in Saving Private Ryan?
Bryan Cranston is in Saving Private Ryan.
Yes. Because here's the thing. I was getting confused because I know for a fact that Ted Danson is in Saving Private Ryan.
Right.
And part of me is like, am I just confusing the two sitcom guys from the 90s? With am I just thinking of Ted Danson and I've just been like, oh, and Bryan Cranston. But he is in it?
Yep.
Oh, good.
He's in it. And that was correct. And so James Cameron... Wait, is that right? Yeah, James Cameron.
Did
you say Private Ryan?
No, there was
am I thinking about
Steven Spielberg.
It was one of them. It had to be one of them. Steven Spielberg. He said he cast Matt Damon because he wanted an unknown actor with an all-American look. Yeah. Now
he is the titular Private Ryan.
The casting for Saving Private Ryan happened before the release of Good Will Hunting. Yep. So Matt Damon wasn't known at that point.
Yeah.
And then that movie came out and he came like this overnight sensation.
I believe that they're both 1998, but Saving Private Ryan had a notoriously long production. So I can completely believe he filmed it.
Yeah.
That was being post-production, whatever, and then he made Good Will Hunting and it came out first. They actually said that I read something else that was like Robin Williams, I think, spoke to Steven Spielberg to say, hey, this kid Matt Damon is really good. Oh, right.
So Robin Williams actually got him the job. So they must have already started filming that even. Which is interesting. Anyway. Cool. Number 8. Yep. Now, this might be another one that you got because you ended up getting the connection. Nagasaki is the city in which film?
I'm going to hazard a guess at Godzilla.
Oh, incorrect, Camo. I gotcha. Yeah. I gotcha.
Because my first thought was Godzilla when I said it, but I'm like, I don't know enough about Godzilla to know. And then when I worked out the connection, knowing he was in the Godzilla remake, but it's not true.
No. Do you want to have another guess? See if you can have another guess. It's a tricky one. It's a tricky one.
Yeah. Was it movie or TV show? Movie, wasn't it?
Movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because my other connection was going to be that Bryan Cranston did voices in the original Power Rangers, and it does sound like something that might be in Power
Right,
Rangers.
it does. That does too. Yeah. Both your answers have been really great. But you're gonna kick yourself, Cambo. It was Isle of Dogs.
Oh, of course. Yeah, he did a voice.
The Wes Anderson stop motion animation. He was voiced one of the dogs.
Yeah, partly in Japan, makes sense.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. I had to check that Megasaki wasn't a city in Japan because I was like, maybe I'm doing this incorrectly. Funnily enough, it is a place, but it's not a city.
Right.
Because I was like, what if there's another film that's also set in Megasaki? Anyway, question number 9. What movie is based around the Canadian caper? Again, you're struggling with this, but I imagine you got it because of Bryan Cranston.
Yes, I'm going to say it's the movie Argo.
Correct.
Yeah.
The Canadian Caper Rescue is actually what they call it. Was the movie Argo. You did pretty well. You got one wrong. So you get a point for everyone that you got right, plus 2 points for the 10, but then minus 70 points for any questions that you got wrong.
I shouldn't have got that one wrong. That's the problem, isn't it?
Don't get it wrong, Cambo. I would have accepted a non-answer, like if you just skipped it. You wouldn't have lost any points.
I got too confident with my theme.
Yeah, that's right.
I do genuinely want to know how the listeners went as well.
Yeah. Listeners, how'd you go? I also think, trivia with buds. Like they had one theme was, so they tell you the theme at the start. But I thought that'd be, honestly, the only reason why I changed it for you, because I was like, you will get these too easily. Right. If I give you Bryan Cranston from the start, I thought you would get
bloody Isle of Dogs.
Except Isle of Dogs, but I thought, because you had struggled with Argo and Isle of Dogs and even potentially Saving Private Ryan or something. So anyway, and even the Malcolm in the Middle one probably not either. So,
I definitely wouldn't have got that.
But anyway, trivia with buds. They do one where they tell you like it's all the answers end in like ED or something like that. They had one that was like mysterious characters, so characters in TV shows that you don't actually see, like Wilson from Home Improvement, is one is like a mysterious character. But they had, I was going to rip it off completely, but they had really obscure old TV show references. I was like, Home Improvement was like one of the more newer ones that they referenced. I was like,
did they have the smoking man from the X-Files?
No, I'm not sure. No, I don't think so. No, they said one of them was like the neighbor in Friends, TV show Friends.
Maybe. I'd never watched Friends, so I don't know.
Yeah, but he's just known as like the crazy bald ugly man or something.
Oh
like
yeah, he like lives across. Yeah. I do vaguely know that.
Yeah. Anyway, so check that out if you want. But now it's time for the Ask Me Anything, where listeners of the show, just like you, listener, can write in and ask us anything you want.
Yeah, go on here from Jeremy. He says, hello, gentlemen. I would like to claim the status for the straight correspondent. I watch sports and know all about bobs and vagin. Do you also eat wings and watch porn all day? Your Chicago and straight correspondent, Jeremy.
Okay, but I don't think it's happened in the show yet, but I don't think we've had anyone that's overqualified to be a correspondent.
He does sound bloody straight, doesn't he?
So that's such a straight thing to do, you know? Even I'm a little bit gay. I'm not this straight, you know?
It's also a very straight person thing to do, to be like, what about straight people? You know, like as if it was an underrepresented thing in the first place.
Go
go nuts, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah. Jeremy, you can. I imagine he says, do you also eat wings and watch porn all day? I'm assuming he means lesbian porn, because obviously if you watch straight porn, you're a little bit gay. You have to watch lesbian porn. If you're a completely straight person, certainly.
Right, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's confusing logic, Cambo, but it's sound. It makes sense.
But you're working under the assumption that if you even see a dick...
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't be the straight correspondent, is all I'm saying.
Okay.
Not to say that you can't be straight.
Yeah.
But if you're being the straight correspondent, and Jeremy, presumably male, he can only watch
the thing
lesbian porn.
Jeremy does need to account for, he will also be our correspondent for straight women. So if we do have questions about straight women,
I didn't think about this,
which I think will be more common, because us being straight men ourselves, we probably know the answer to most of those. We will mainly be asking you questions about straight women that we want to know.
Yeah. But he did say that he knows all about bobs and vagines. So
yeah.
That's. I think we're in safe hands. Is all I want to say.
Like a firm pair of bobs in a pair of safe hands. So the question is, do we eat wings and watch porn all day? I'm curious, are you eating wings and watching porn at the same time? Or is it a one after the other situation? Because one, straight men famously can't multitask. So I think that you'd be having problems there. But
funnily enough, okay.
The wings are a messy thing.
Here's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Is one activity makes the other activity messier. Yeah. It doesn't actually matter in which order.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You're getting messier from one activity to the next, regardless in which way you do it.
But honest answer, there's a time and a place for both eating wings and watching porn. So I don't think we do it all day, but certainly, we'll indulge once in a while in some wings, and then separately in some porn, never together.
Yeah. Sometimes I will indulge in wings and prawn. They go quite well together.
And sometimes I'll sing while watching porn. So we're close on each of them.
So close. I just imagined you singing and watching porn. What are you singing?
Baby, you're a firework.
Okay.
It's
very
empowering.
complimentary.
It's empowering, and because I like the empowering nature of Katy Perry, and I do worry for the women of the porn industry.
Yeah.
So by melding the two, I can kind of imagine this world where they have more agency than perhaps sometimes they do.
Yeah. True.
It's empowering in a way, Nelson, isn't it?
Yeah. It's very empowering.
Yeah.
Good work. Okay. This next one is from May. Hello, my name is May. Long-time fan from Poland. That's new. I don't remember a Polish person writing in. I've always thought your guys' podcast had hundreds of thousands of viewers. And I thought this for the past year and a half until recently I went on YouTube. I was in shock. My question is, how much time goes into each podcast? I would like to start my own. Just seems like a lot of work. Thanks. Love, May from Poland. Also, Cambo is the best IMO, in my opinion.
Yep.
Which is funny
because
May is the worst, in my opinion.
So no, May and I, we have a mutual respect for each other, you see.
Right, yeah.
So I prefer May over you, Nelson, to be honest.
Yeah, well, that's fine. I'm just saying, independent of this, I thought May was the worst. Like, this had nothing to do with what she said. I just think May's the worst.
I will say this in slight defense of our show. We do much better on Spotify and Apple podcasts than we ever do on YouTube.
I think YouTube is
it's an auto publish
metric
isn't it?
to go by. It's just like wavelengths.
Sometimes
it's not the best format
I
to
forget.
listen to.
Sometimes I forget that we're on YouTube because from what I understand, we use a service called Podbean, and it just as a thing being like, oh, we can also put this on YouTube if you want, and we just ticked it. I think.
Ticked the box that said okie dokie. And but it'll come as a surprise occasionally when we get an email to our inbox that's like, somebody's left a comment on your YouTube video. I'm like, oh yeah, that's still still exists.
Yeah, why? Why'd they do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah, we actually get most of our listeners through Spotify, I believe. It's like a fair chunk. I think it's like 40 to 45% of all our listeners are through Spotify, which is annoying because they can't leave reviews or ratings.
Very annoying. Actually, I think that's exactly why we're higher up on Spotify, because we can't leave reviews or ratings, can they?
Yeah. We skipped that whole rating process.
Yeah.
How much time and effort goes into the podcast?
Can I also just say, just for clarity, that doesn't mean we have hundreds of thousands of viewers.
No. That's a good point. How much time and effort goes into the podcast is the answer, in all honesty, is as little as we can. So,
as little as humanly possible.
Early days, it took a lot longer to make this show than it does now. We've set it up in such a fashion, and I think we've talked about this before, that we can press this big red record button and start. All of the sound effects and stuff are already on the pad ready to go. We don't edit throughout the show, and then we stop recording, and then we upload that file. So honestly, it takes us about as long as the episode is to record it, and maybe 10 minutes of upload.
Yeah, that's right. There is more time. I put in a little bit more time. Oh, you do too. For podnapping, obviously, that can take anywhere from like 10 minutes to like, I mean, me putting together all these questions, because I came up with original questions for everything. Probably took me like an hour to do podnapping. And then, sometimes we've done more elaborate ones. Sometimes we've done the ones that were like, took us probably 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I've gone on a website and read off the page.
We've done the one where we wrote songs to each other, insulting each other. That one took quite a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. And then on top of that, I do obviously the show notes, but even that, I mean, I'm normally browsing through Reddit, like during the week. So if I see one that I think we can talk about, I'll save it. So I feel like I shouldn't include that time of like, that's part of the podcast, because really it's not. But then if I don't have enough at the time that I do the show notes, honestly, sometimes like I reckon maybe the longest I've spent on show notes is probably like 5 hours, something insane like that, because I just absolutely can't find something that we can talk about, or all the uploaded things are things we've already spoken about. That's like pretty rare, but it has taken that long before. I'd say otherwise it's maybe like even like an hour. It could still sometimes take a little while to do, but so an hour of, let's say, pre-show work, plus let's whack on like 20 minutes for podnapping. And then ignoring the actual recording and us speaking, but just the sort of
work
uploading
around
time that is only honestly like an extra 10 minutes max on each end of the recording of the podcast. So,
but I would say
it's only like an hour and a half.
If you're thinking of starting a podcast, then like you absolutely should. There's no reason to not do it, and just find the kind of podcast that is the amount of effort you're willing to put in. Because I mean, I love a shameless plug, Nelson. So like the difference between this show, which takes like I think we said like a few hours maybe with all things included, including recording, compared to like Cancel Movie Report takes several weeks and weeks to put together. Shout out Star Wars Episode 9 this week. That's a pretty good one. So we that one takes a lot longer, and that is not something I'd want to do week to week. Whereas this one is very low maintenance, so I'm happy to do it week to week. So just you don't need the fancy equipment like we have. We've slowly upgraded our equipment over the years, but you just need a cheap USB mic and an idea, and you're good to go.
I do think in general why you don't have to do this in your first episodes, but something that we don't really do, that I genuinely think is good advice for podcasts, is that you should edit though. I know we don't, but I think my advice would be to anyone starting one is to edit and actually get it running a bit smoother. I think just because from the start we were just sort of bit loose with it. We were like,
yeah.
let's just keep this going forever.
Yeah.
And it fits, I guess, the genre of what we're doing and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, but
I would also say
editing.
if there's a key to why this show has run as long as it has without us burning out, is because one, we steal other people's work from Reddit, so that's very handy. But two is we have a very specific format that we stick to. So if things are at a lull, we just go to the next thing. Like the format of our show really helps us keep moving as well. So as long as you've got a good format, a little bit of time to edit, you'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine. We'll be subscribers. We won't, Cambo. I hate May. I can't stress this enough. May is my mortal enemy. And if she did a podcast, I'll rate it 1 star without even listening to 1 second of it.
Well, me and May are tight, so I don't know what to tell you. This is very awkward.
You're going to do the podcast with her. But that's it. So thank you for writing in, May and Jeremy. If you would like to write into us, you can do so. Reddit podcast, READIT podcast, gmail.com. You can also reach us at Facebook, Twitter, and our subreddit. They're all READIT podcast. I should just remind people that, because we actually got a duplicate email from Adriel, who we did last week. We just want to remind people, we're getting your emails. We just only do 2 per episode.
So lately, we've only been doing 1 per episode, so that's really slowed things down.
That's true. There has been an episode where we've done that. So, just we're getting them. We're getting to them. We're getting to them. We honestly don't have heaps in the pipeline, but it just might not be as fast as you'd like a response rate to be from a normal podcast.
Yeah.
But that's it. So thanks for listening, and we will read you later.